What happens when a poet, a chemist, and a software engineer walk into a room? This sounds like the setup for a joke, but what if I told you that when they work together in harmony, they can solve problems that no group of like-minded individuals ever could? What happens when we bring different minds together? Well, in honesty, one of two things. So we either end up with chaos, very much like Tower of Babel, where misalignment leads to disaster, or if we follow certain rules of alchemy, we can achieve groundbreaking success. Why is it that we often find ourselves surrounded by people who think, act, and behave like us? Why are we so drawn to comfort, and what's the price we pay for avoiding the challenges of diversity? These are some of the questions at the heart of building high-performing teams, topics I've been exploring with global leaders and their people. After all organizations want to build high-performing teams. But many of the best practices were established for the world that no longer exists. We secretly laugh at people who print their emails, but we cling to opinions from years before internet became mainstream. So where do we begin when thinking about creating the alchemy of teams? There are 4 things that exceptional leaders do. First, it starts with who you bring to the table. Some people are creative, others are analytical, some focus on the big picture, while others thrive in the details. This is called cognitive diversity, or simply collective intelligence. We all think differently, and that's what transforms individual intelligence into that group wisdom. It's very much like alchemy, a seemingly magical process of creation. Whether you manage a company or coach a football team, you have one fundamental thing in common. Your team's performance determines your success. A football team needs all of its players in key positions to perform at its best. Likewise, a business needs the key skill sets, perspectives to achieve its goals. Just imagine how uncomfortable would a football fan feel knowing that they are missing a goalkeeper this season. But in business, it happens all the time. We need quick solutions, it feels comfortable, and it can lead to group blindness. Because many of the problems we face nowadays are increasingly complex, and they are beyond the capabilities of the so-called echo chambers, groups of like-minded individuals who see the world through the same lenses. What we need is collective intelligence and a little bit of group imagination. Just look at Pixar, co-founded by Steve Jobs. They blend that artistic imagination of animators with technical precision of computer scientists. This marriage of art and science, creativity and logic makes their movies not just good, but magical. It makes you feel like a 5-year-old who's ready for the next adventure. And that seemingly odd combination of talents and perspectives, it's what we see in high-performing teams across disciplines. Their innovation transforms industries. And secondly, it's about trust. Without trust, well, trust is the foundation of a core-performing team, and that's what leads to commitment. If you want your team to be transformational, make sure it's relational. And what do I mean by that? Relationships. The alchemy in teams thrives on that energy of true, genuine, trusting connection, fueled by feeling seen, understood, heard for who we are. Without that, people won't tell you what you need to know. They'll tell you what they think you want to know. Take the Challenger space shuttle disaster. The decision-making process at NASA was dominated by a groupthink, where individuals who saw what was going on didn't really feel safe to share, well, the problems at hand. And it resulted in a disaster. Just 73 seconds after launch, the shuttle exploded, killing all 7 crew members. So it was a classic case of groupthink, a phenomenon where like-minded people develop blind spots and an overconfidence in their predictions. It happens all the time. Just think, how often do we think about the dominant voice in the room and whether we can question that or not? What we now need, instead of that individual brilliance, is collective wisdom. And third, it's about embracing healthy conflict. Before they tell their people where they stand, the best leaders, they make sure that they know where everyone sits. They know that it's more than capability of the team. It's about courage. Courage to admit you don't have all the answers. Courage to create space for others. Courage to see in people what they can't see in themselves. And they also know just how important the environment of friction is. We need that healthy conflict. We need an environment where ideas can be debated openly without the fear of retribution. This type of conflict isn't destructive. In fact, it's quite productive. And when we look at the wisdom of the crowds, there is a fascinating experiment conducted in 1906 called "Can You Guess the Weight of the Ox?" 800 people from all walks of life during a livestock fair in England were asked to guess the weight of the ox. And they argued, and they just couldn't come up with the same solution. But to the researchers' surprise, the collective result, the average of the 800 voices, was remarkably accurate. They missed the actual weight of 542 kilograms by less than half a kilogram. So again, this shows you how much we can do together. And fourth, it's about clarity of vision. Clarity of vision, especially in diverse teams, diverse culturally, diverse with different backgrounds. It's what keeps them aligned, what helps them harness the energy of having different ideas, different thought processes to move towards the same goal. When President Kennedy visited NASA in 1962, he met a janitor who was carrying a broom down the hallway. He casually asked the janitor what he did, and the janitor said, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." The clarity of vision and the conviction he had is exactly what the best leaders look for in their people and make sure that everyone is moving in the same direction. So why don't more teams follow those guidelines? There is a paradox I've observed. Cognitive diversity is somewhat invisible. So you can have false comfort that when you're looking at the room, you see diversity by all visible measures. But often those insights, those perspectives, they are not leveraged if you don't have the trust, if you don't have healthy conflict, and if you don't have the clarity of vision. So when the chemist, the poet, and the software engineer walk into a room, this is where the alchemy begins, but only if the environment allows for it. They thrive on that friction because it transforms the way that they think about the problem and forces them to step outside of their comfort zone, looking for solutions they wouldn't have ever looked for without that. That's the essence of what makes teams powerful. Thank you.